For years, viewers of Love Marriage Huntsville watched heated arguments, breakups, and tense moments unfold on their screens, believing they were seeing the full story. The show presented drama as entertainment, and fans were quick to judge characters based on what they saw. But according to Melody, one of the central figures on the show, the reality behind the cameras was far more complicated, far darker, and far more disturbing than whatever made it to the final edit. She has finally come forward to share her truth, and her words are changing the way many people now view the series, the cast, and the very nature of reality television itself. What Melody claims is not merely behind-the-scenes conflict, it's a story of fear, control, and personal trauma that continued long after the cameras stopped rolling, a narrative that viewers were never given a chance to see. Melody asserts that the drama captured on screen was only a fraction of what she and others endured. According to her, the arguments and confrontations fans saw were carefully framed and edited, leaving out critical moments that would have provided context or revealed the severity of certain situations. She explains that what appeared to be simple disagreements were often the result of a much larger pattern of behavior, one that included harassment, intimidation, and a constant sense of being controlled. In her view, the public perception of the show, entertaining and dramatic as it seemed, masked an environment that left her feeling unsafe and vulnerable. Melody's experience challenges the idea that reality TV is a truthful depiction of real life. The selective nature of editing, she claims, played a major role in shaping public opinion against her, portraying her reactions as aggressive or emotional, while excluding the actions that allegedly provoked those reactions. Specific trips, events, and interactions were edited in ways that distorted the truth, leaving fans to form opinions based on incomplete information, sometimes harshly criticizing her without understanding the full context. For years, Melody remained silent. She says that this silence was not out of weakness, but out of a desire to protect her family, her children, and the image of the show itself. She believed that enduring what was happening privately and appearing strong on camera was part of her responsibility. Yet she acknowledges that this came at a significant personal cost. The pressure to appear calm, unbothered, and composed on television created a scenario where her reactions were scrutinized and judged without consideration for what may have caused them. According to Melody, her silence allowed a false narrative to grow, one where she was criticized publicly for behaviors that were the result of provocation or fear. One of the most striking examples she shares is a scene in which objects were allegedly thrown at her, but the final edit only showed her response. Fans saw what appeared to be an unprovoked outburst, while the reality of the situation was concealed. Moments like these illustrate how editing and selective storytelling can profoundly influence public opinion, turning personal pain into entertainment while hiding the deeper issues at play. For Melody, the decision to speak out now is a reclaiming of her narrative, an attempt to assert control over the story that was written for her by others. Melody emphasizes that her experience extended beyond the world of television into real-life dangers. She claims that her home address was shared publicly, placing both her and her children at risk. She describes instances where she felt watched, followed, and publicly commented on in ways that crossed legal and personal boundaries. These experiences, she says, created an ongoing atmosphere of fear that did not end with court decisions or legal interventions. According to Melody, one particular moment, being driven past and spoken about in public, was a turning point. It made her realize that staying silent no longer served to protect anyone. Instead, it allowed the alleged harassment and intimidation to continue. In speaking out, she is taking a stand for herself, her safety, and her well-being, while also drawing attention to the larger issues that can exist behind the scenes of reality television. These allegations raise questions about how fame, public scrutiny, and televised drama can intersect with real-world threats, highlighting the gap between what audiences see on screen and what individuals experience off-camera. The public reaction to Melody's revelations has been mixed, reflecting the complicated nature of reality television culture. While some viewers have expressed shock and support, others remain skeptical, defending those accused while questioning her motives. Melody expresses frustration at those who dismiss her claims as exaggeration or simply part of TV drama. She points out that reality television often places entertainment above accountability, with producers selectively choosing moments that are engaging for viewers, rather than those that accurately represent the seriousness of a situation. In her experience, this means networks profit from conflict, yet rarely show the consequences of that conflict for the individuals involved. Online commentary, fan speculation, and public debate further complicate the lives of those appearing on screen, turning private pain into a public spectacle. Melody's story illustrates how reality TV not only manipulates narratives for entertainment, but also shapes public perception in ways that can amplify harm and silence victims. For Melody, speaking out was about reclaiming her voice and setting boundaries after years of feeling controlled by circumstances, public perception, and the narrative constructed by the show. She emphasizes that strength is no longer measured by silence or endurance. Instead, it is defined by the courage to speak honestly, protect one's children, and refuse to participate in a story that misrepresents the truth. She wants viewers to understand that her intention is not sympathy, but accountability and awareness. Melody frames her story as an example of how systems, including reality television, can fail people when profit and ratings are prioritized over safety and truth. By stepping away from the show, she explains, she is no longer willing to participate in a platform that she believes misrepresented her life, minimized her pain, and put her and her children at risk. Speaking now, she says, feels both necessary and overdue, reflecting a long journey of fear, legal concerns, and emotional exhaustion. Melody's experience goes beyond one relationship or one television show. It raises broader questions about the ethics of reality TV, the responsibility of networks, and the impact of selective storytelling on viewers. She highlights how easily public opinion can be manipulated by editing and narrative framing, creating a world in which fans judge participants based on incomplete information. According to Melody, this leads to online attacks, judgment, and pressure that compound the emotional toll on those living the reality behind the scenes. Her story is also a cautionary tale about the dangers of silence. For years, she believed that enduring these experiences quietly would maintain peace and protect her family, but she eventually realized that silence only perpetuated a cycle of harm. By sharing her story, she hopes to create awareness and accountability, encouraging others to recognize that fear is not weakness. It is a signal that something is wrong and requires attention. Central to Melody's decision to speak is the well-being of her children. She explains that protecting them has always been her top priority, and watching her life debated online while trying to maintain stability for her family was one of her greatest challenges. Her choice to share her story is also about setting an example, teaching her children that silence is not the only option, and that standing up for oneself matters, even when it is difficult. Melody emphasizes that speaking out does not erase the past, but it creates space for healing and prevents the truth from being buried under edited scenes and public assumptions. She urges viewers to be mindful of their words, recognizing that comments made online can have real consequences, adding to the pain of individuals whose lives are already complicated by the pressures of reality television. Melody claims that the chaos we saw on television was just the tip of the iceberg. According to her, the arguments, confrontations, and emotional explosions that fans judged so quickly were carefully framed and selectively edited, leaving out crucial context that would have changed public perception entirely. What appeared to be simple disagreements were, she says, part of a larger and darker pattern of alleged behavior that included harassment, fear, and intimidation. She alleges that Martell's conduct did not stop even after legal consequences were handed down, and sources close to the situation suggest that the drama only escalated afterward. Imagine someone who had already admitted to harassment in court, allegedly continuing the intimidation in public, driving by Melody's home with Orion, and making comments about her private life, as though the legal system were nothing more than a commercial break. This is not a fictional plot twist designed for suspense. According to Melody, this was reality, and it was terrifying. It was this alleged escalation that finally broke her silence, pushing her to speak out after years of fearing the consequences of speaking her truth. For fans of the show, this changes everything. The scenes they laughed at, argued over, or dismissed as typical reality TV drama were, according to Melody, just one small part of a story filled with fear, control, and ongoing harassment. Melody says the stakes were far higher than most viewers realized. She alleges years of emotional abuse, threats, physical confrontations, and even the exposure of her home address, putting both her and her children at risk. Living under such scrutiny while trying to maintain stability for her family was one of her greatest challenges. Her choice to share her story is also about setting an example, teaching her children that silence is not the only option, and that standing up for oneself matters, even when it is difficult. Melody emphasizes that speaking out does not erase the past, but it creates space for healing and prevents the truth from being buried under edited scenes and public assumptions. She urges viewers to be mindful of their words, recognizing that comments made online can have real consequences, adding to the pain of individuals whose lives are already complicated by the pressures of reality television. However, Melody claims that the chaos we saw on television was just the tip of the iceberg. According to her, the arguments, confrontations, and emotional explosions that fans judged so quickly were carefully framed and selectively edited, leaving out crucial context that would have changed public perception entirely. What appeared to be simple disagreements were, she says, part of a larger and darker pattern of alleged behavior that included harassment, fear, and intimidation. She alleges that Martell's conduct did not stop even after legal consequences were handed down, and sources close to the situation suggest that the drama only escalated afterward. Imagine someone who had already admitted to harassment in court, allegedly continuing the intimidation in public, driving by Melody's home with Orion, and making comments about her private life, as though the legal system were nothing more than a commercial break. This is not a fictional plot twist designed for suspense. According to Melody, this was reality, and it was terrifying. It was this alleged escalation that finally broke her silence, pushing her to speak out after years of fearing the consequences of speaking her truth. For fans of the show, this changes everything. The scenes they laughed at, argued over, or dismissed as typical reality TV drama were, according to Melody, just one small part of a story filled with fear, control, and ongoing harassment. Melody says the stakes were far higher than most viewers realized. She alleges years of emotional abuse, threats, physical confrontations, and even the exposure of her home address, putting both her and her children at risk. Living under such scrutiny while fearing for her safety was a constant pressure, made worse by the fact that millions were watching, forming judgments based on carefully curated footage that painted an incomplete and misleading picture. While fans debated who threw what first, Melody claims that the reality behind the camera was far more dangerous and complex, involving threats, intimidation, and emotional manipulation that extended beyond the show's set. Beyond the fear, Melody highlights the issue of control and manipulation. She claims that Martell repeatedly interfered in her life, even years after their divorce, creating questions about boundaries, personal freedom, and accountability. Reality television, she says, complicated this further. Editing and selective storytelling, she alleges, were used to make her appear as the aggressor while omitting moments where Martell allegedly provoked her. One example she shared involved an incident in Las Vegas where pillows were allegedly thrown at her, yet the final episode only showed her throwing a glass in retaliation. This selective editing, according to Melody, created a false narrative, painting her as violent while shielding him from any accountability. It's a disturbing reminder of how reality TV can manipulate audience perception, turning victims into villains while leaving provocation and harassment invisible. The show, she claims, prioritized entertainment value over truth, taking incidents out of context to create a story designed to keep viewers glued to the screen while silencing the very people experiencing real trauma. And Melody says this was just one incident in a series of escalating events. Each moment added fuel to a fire that had quietly burned for years, creating a pattern of fear and control that viewers never saw. According to those close to her, the breaking point came when Martell and Arian allegedly drove by and made public comments about her, a moment that Melody describes as the catalyst for finally speaking out. Fans' reactions, meanwhile, have only complicated matters further, with some continuing to defend Martell blindly, while others begin to question everything they thought they knew. Melody, meanwhile, is reclaiming her voice, refusing to finance her own abuse, and exposing a dark side of reality television that is rarely visible to the public. When the drama of reality TV crosses into real life, it becomes terrifying in a way that staged arguments never could. Melody alleges that her life, and that of her children, was placed at risk multiple times, including having her address leaked and experiencing public intimidation. Legal measures, she claims, did little to protect her. Despite Martell's guilty plea in court, the alleged harassment continued in ways that made her feel unsafe in public spaces. According to Melody, reality television exacerbated these dangers because the cameras and editing created a perception that the conflict was merely entertainment, leaving viewers oblivious to the ongoing threats behind the scenes. This alleged gap between televised drama and real-world danger highlights the risks of living under constant public scrutiny while experiencing what she describes as genuine threats to personal safety. Melody's courage in speaking out underscores the difference between reality television as entertainment and reality as lived experience. She stayed silent for years, fearing backlash, public judgment, and further escalation. Her silence, she says, was misinterpreted as complicity or passivity, when in reality it was a survival strategy. By stepping forward now, she is challenging both the public and the industry to reconsider the consequences of turning real-life trauma into a spectacle for ratings, and to confront the ethical implications of exploiting conflict for profit while minimizing safety. Melody does not hold back when discussing public perception. She calls out the audience for blindly taking sides, particularly women who defended Martell despite allegations of abuse. She asks how it is possible to support someone accused of serious harassment without questioning the full story. According to her, the alleged violations went far beyond standard reality TV drama, with leaked personal information, threats to herself and her children, and repeated interference in her life, turning what should have been entertainment into a situation of real-life danger. Public reactions reportedly ranged from shock to disbelief, with some accusing her of exaggeration, while others are beginning to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the show. The legal side adds further tension. Melody describes a court process that, while officially resolved with a guilty plea, allegedly did nothing to stop harassment afterward. Moments she describes felt like intimidation in plain sight, making her realize that the courthouse verdict offered no real protection and that the danger had not ended. Melody challenges fans to reconsider how they engage with reality TV content. She asks viewers to focus less on who appeared wrong in a scene and more on the behaviors that created those reactions. According to her, accountability is not about public punishment. It is about honesty, responsibility, and change. The patterns she describes, both on-screen and off, demonstrate the ways that systems can fail to protect participants while amplifying drama for entertainment. She reminds viewers that real lives exist behind the camera, and that personal trauma does not reset when a scene ends or when a season concludes. By sharing her experience, Melody encourages fans to think critically, question narratives, and understand that edited content may not reflect the full reality of a situation. This is a call for viewers to prioritize empathy, awareness, and thoughtful engagement over entertainment-driven judgments. Melody's story is ultimately about choice, truth, and reclaiming control over one's life. She has chosen to speak out, not for revenge, but to highlight the need for accountability, awareness, and systemic change within reality television. She emphasizes that peace matters more than perception, safety matters more than screen time, and truth matters more than applause. Her courage to step outside the narrative constructed for her serves as a reminder that reality television often blurs the line between performance and real-life consequences. For viewers, her message is clear. Before forming opinions, before debating someone's behavior online, consider the full picture, the unseen context, and the personal toll behind every edited scene. Melody has chosen honesty over comfort and self-respect over silence, and in doing so, she has sparked a larger conversation about responsibility, safety, and the ethics of storytelling in the world of reality TV. Whether fans agree with her or not, Melody's decision to speak out has changed the conversation around Love Marriage Huntsville in a way that cannot be ignored. The story continues beyond the episodes and the seasons, in real life, where choices, voices, and truth matter. Reality television may entertain, but Melody's experience reminds us that behind the screen are real people whose lives, safety, and well-being cannot be edited away.